It's Saturday the 20th of March 2021. In today's post-match pod, we're joined by Oxford fan Adam Strand, who's going to help us analyse Blackpool's fourth away win on the bounce. This time, a fine 2-0 win at the Kassam Stadium. I'm John Aspinall, and this is the Seasiders podcast match reaction show. Oxford jabbed.
Ollie's already changed the world. Small town from the north of England with a great tradition.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Seasiders podcast. Problem with my mic again there. Welcome to the match reaction show on the Seasiders podcast. On this show, we are delighted to be joined by an Oxford fan. Good of him to turn up after a 2-0 defeat. So welcome, Adam. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me, and congratulations on your victory today.
Thank you. You are a mate of Steve, aren't you? We're a mutual connection. Our friend Steve Day. He was on the preview show yesterday, and he did come to me, the famous 2-1 win at Bloomfield Road last season. So, Steve, if you're just watching, this is for you. I'd love it if we beat them. Love it. And I've loved it. It was an ongoing gag, by the way. We'd send the old Keegan gif back and forth with his famous outburst at Alex Ferguson. So that's what that was all about. So welcome everybody in the stream. Thanks for joining us. Do get your comments in. I am sporting a flat cap this evening.
Fred
my lockdown hair. Very dapper.
Evening, Fred.
Just been up a chimney. Did you like that? I was just explaining to Adam and Tim and Matt before we came on air that obviously he's on a northern podcast, so we thought we'd play up to type there. Anyway,
Dominoes later. Zoom Dominoes.
Dominoes.
Zoom Dominoes later.
Still don't get it.
Proper northern game.
Northern game, isn't it?
Oh god.
Oh god, you're a bit slow tonight.
Is it?
A bit like
that was a northern game. Is it?
Dominoes is a northern game, isn't it? Dominoes and darts. Where have you been?
I don't. Look that up. Let us know in the comments, listeners. I think that there should have been a more northern reference, like whippets down the trousers, that kind of thing.
Perhaps, Yorkshire whippets, though.
Every day is a school day on the Seasiders podcast. That was Tim Fielding anyway. Good evening, Tim. How are you doing?
I'm in a good mood again, which is good to. How much better that's how to win an away game, not MK.
Oh, Steve's here. There you go. Sorry about these lads, Dad. Steve. Oh god, that tastes good. That tastes so good. Good evening, Matt. Anyway, how are you doing out in South Shore?
Good evening, John. Yeah, good evening, everybody. We've got a beautiful sunset over South Shore at the moment, so it's the way to end a perfect Saturday, it would seem.
The weather's always better. The beer always tastes better when you've had 3 points in the bag. Sorry about this, Adam. We will be coming on to the football ever so shortly.
It's all right. I wouldn't expect anything else.
So, Adam, just tell us a quick bit about yourself. How long have you supported Oxford for, and why are you an Oxford fan?
So I was born in Oxford, grew up in Didcot Town. So I started to watch Oxford. Always followed them as a young lad, but didn't really go to my first game till quite late on, really, until I was about 15, which was the 1999-2000 season. And I started getting involved with following them when they were really, really poor. So got to see a lot of disappointment and saw us fall all the way out of the Football League. It's been a bit of a nice to see the other side of that in the last few years and actually get some success.
At least you can't be being accused of being a glory supporter anyway.
No, absolutely not.
You missed all the Wembley. You missed all the Wembley wins and all that, on everything that because you were superb in the late 80s with Aldridge.
Yeah, I was not quite 1 year old when we won the Milk Cup in '86. So I can't really have any claim to being a glory supporter.
We have a bit of a thing on the pod here about being of a certain vintage age-wise. You're a bit of a Beaujolais Nouveau, aren't you?
I did luckily get to experience the Manor Ground though. My first season ticket was the last season at the Manor Ground. So I just got a little bit of the old glory days. Sort of a taster of that.
The stadium with about 8 different styles of stands on 4 sides of the ground. It's funny, isn't it?
It was a great stadium, that was. I loved it.
It made me laugh today because you can see out the corners of the Kassam Stadium. I think when we had a corner, you could see a load of kids just like messing about. Like one was on a scooter, another was on a skateboard. That was quite funny. But we're used to having a 3-sided ground, aren't we, Tim? We had one for quite some time.
We've been there and bought the T-shirt on that one.
So we had obviously no stand whatsoever behind the goal for about 8 years, and we had a temporary golf stand on the west side. So that was a temporary stand that lasted for how long? 6 or 7 years, something like that.
Yeah, the Gene Kelly.
Singing in the rain because you were exposed to the elements, which ain't great at Blackpool on a Tuesday night in the middle of February. But let's get on to the game then. First thing we do, Adam, is we review the team lineups for Blackpool only. So you just sit and watch and enjoy us talking about the Blackpool 11. So we'll try and fire through this as quick as we can. So Tim, let's get your thoughts on this just to kick off.
Yeah, I think
Maxwell, Turton, Ballard, Thornley, Garber, Dougal, Virtue, Ward, Embleton, Kaikai, and Yates. My initial thoughts when I was seeing the team sheet was, where the hell was Husband?
Well, I think Husband was injured, wasn't he? I think he picked up a knock towards the end of the game, didn't he, on Tuesday night? And apparently, I wondered whether Gretterson might come in, and apparently he was potentially eligible, but his missus has given birth to a child last night. So congratulations. There's another Viking joining the world. So I think that's the only reason he wasn't involved in the squad today, which is good news, particularly bearing in mind Ballard is on international duty for the next couple of games. So that gives us another option there if Hubby isn't quite right.
And Mitchell's got to be disappointed to be dropped to the bench after
how a man of the match gets dropped to the bench is beyond me. But Tinkerman tinkers, doesn't he? And listen, when we go on to what happened, you can't really argue with it. But obviously, when you're looking at it pre-match, which is what we're doing at the moment, I think my frustration is, that Gabriel's still left on the bench. I know the problem is Turton's playing so well. I told you all. Yeah, but Gabriel is still the better player, and so we've got this frustrating thing where our best right back is that he's sub. He's rested for a game, and the player who's come in, to be fair, has grabbed the shirt and he's played really, really well. But Mitchell, how the hell he gets dropped is beyond me. But it is what it is. They were my observations. I think other than that, I thought the bench looked a bit weaker than it has done in recent weeks. But I think the six on the treatment table is taking its toll, isn't it? And so I've got to say, other than that issue over Mitchell, I think it was the right starting lineup.
The coach is with us this evening. Good evening, Coach. Is Tim smiling this week? The miserable bugger. Yes, I think he is, Tim, aren't you?
Yeah. Coach, you didn't do an MK Dons on me, so I'm quite happy for this week.
Over to you, Matt. Your thoughts on the starting 11?
Yeah, similar.
Happy?
Yeah, relatively. I mean, obviously, Husband missing out through injury was a bit of a blow, but with Ballard missing and you got to think about, is Gretterson going to be fully fit and slot back in? So maybe he possibly could have played Husband today, but maybe he's thinking ahead about Ballard not being available for the next couple of games or whatever it is due to lack of, or rather, the international break. So that was obviously a bit of a blow. Mitchell missing out was initially a bit of a strange one, but when I sort of had time to reflect, I thought, well, maybe it's because Ward's, he should have better ball retention, which, served us really well on Tuesday night. And obviously being away from home, you'd imagine us to go a little bit more conservatively, I guess. So I wasn't overly concerned with Mitchell being missed out. But if I was Mitchell, I'd be scratching my head, about what I have to do to retain a starting 11 spot. So, that's for him to be concerned.
If you look at what Bison's has said there, Mitchell was cramping up on Tuesday, so maybe that was
maybe, but I mean that's 4 days ago, whatever it is, isn't it? And let's be honest, it's only about fluids, and he hasn't played a lot of games probably. So, you wouldn't expect anybody to miss out on a Saturday game just because they're cramping up on a Tuesday necessarily. I think it was more of a tactical thing, and as it transpired, I'll make more comments about Ward's sort of contribution as we go on. Really,
I did think of you, Matt, when Ward put that cross in and it went out for a throw in on the other side.
You won't be surprised to know that I made a comment about that in the notes. He just cannot cross the road, can he? He just cannot do it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I was chuckling to myself when that happened. The coach also says rotation leads to elation. I like that. Something you'd come out with, Tim. Something like that. Right, let's get on with the game.
He could be a thespian, couldn't he? As could our Critch.
A man of many talents. Okay, let's get on with the game then. So, coming into this game, Adam, Oxford, as the commentator kept pointing out, you've only lost 3 in 21 prior to the game. Blackpool had won 308 on the bounce prior to this. Don't know if you knew that. We're also unbeaten in 8. So how are your thoughts coming into this game? Were you confident, given the fact you've just beaten Donny or smashed Donny 3-0, as Steve said?
It's been a very strange season. Obviously, we've had this big run since we lost to Swindon back in November, which was obviously devastating for us being our local rivals, and coincided with a mistake from our keeper and him getting dropped, Simon Eastwood. We then went on this big run where we had a few games where they were draws, which sort of steadied the ship a little bit, and then we went on that big 9-game winning streak through sort of December and January.
I mean, you had as bad a start as us, didn't you? You were worse than us.
Yeah. We started awfully. I mean, there was a bit of the playoff hangover from obviously the Wembley defeat to Wickham. We've also had a lot of injuries. That old excuse, but I know we didn't have a settled side. Our defence, we lost Rob Dickey in the summer to QPR, and Rob Atkinson coming in. It was a little bit of chop and change trying to get our defence sort of getting some chemistry and whatnot. And it's been certainly December, January. Everyone's got very excited, and we've been just outside the playoffs the whole time. And it's a cliche, but it's that fact that you just don't know what side's going to turn up. Like, we're so inconsistent sometimes. We have a game where I think they use the analogy in the week where we took the handbrake off against Doncaster, and we got a 3-0 at half time, played absolutely fantastic attackingly. And then we didn't take the handbrake off until the second half today. So, it's...
Well, we've got this analogy that we use to describe how we start games. It's having half time or pre-match bongs. And because we traditionally start these games very, very slowly. But, Tim, we've started brilliantly in this game. We've come right out of the traps, right at Oxford. And it was most unlike Blackpool to be pressing so high and so fast at the start of a game.
Yeah, do you know, a little bit, they reminded me, albeit a better footballing team, a little bit the way that Burton played the other day, where we were defending really high up the pitch, and the number of times that we saw the light. I mean, I'll come to Yates later, but the number of times players like Yates and some of the and Virtue were intercepting passes or putting them under pressure, and it ended up, and the ball falls to Dougal, and then we all of a sudden we've changed defence to attack, and it was brilliant to watch. I've got to say, it was fantastic to see a Blackpool team actually play an away game the way you want to see them play an away game, not do the hoof ball up front, not do the give it wasteful in possession. I was a little bit taken aback by it, to be honest. It was that good against a good team, to be fair. And Adam, we all rate Oxford. We did a pre-season chart as to where we felt teams would finish, and Oxford are right up there. And we really, we laugh about beating 2-1 last year, but we eulogise about the way you played against us last year when we beat you. How the hell we beat you, we still don't know. And we know how good a side you've got. And to see us do that against a very, very good team was it was. I was quite proud of watching us today. Actually, I think that was my impression from the early days. I thought, wow, we are actually a good team, and I think we showed it today. And right from the off, we were on the ball, and all the players you want to, Kaikai's twin played the whole game today, didn't he?
He did.
It was like watching a different player. And listen, we're the first ones, aren't we, to say, Phil's always championed Kaikai's cause.
He was right all along. He was right.
Well, I'm not sure whether he was right all along.
Number 10 role, that's what he said. That's what he said.
But he's come in a bit, hasn't he? But he's whatever Critchley or whatever Calderwood or whoever it is has said to him has clearly struck a chord, because his season was wasting away, and all of a sudden, in the last couple of games, he has got the ability to get us promoted this season. If he plays like that every single week, we will go up. And you can't say more than that, because he is that good a player when he plays like that. Yeah. And he really took the game to Oxford right from the start. He was on it, wasn't he? For the first minute, he was on it, which is what you want to see.
On it like a car bonnet.
He was.
Adam, just briefly, just come to you. Let's let you answer this question from Seaside of Brummie, who says, Oxford, one of the best teams I've seen in the league this season. Adam, were we very good, or were Oxford very poor today? Were you very poor, or do you think it was just Blackpool's press?
I think we started very poorly, but I don't think we were poor overall in the game. I mean, typical, we didn't take our chances. Seems to say that a lot, but we did create quite a few chances, which, on another day, if we'd scored some of them at the times we created them, it could have changed the game a little bit. But then at the same time, I think tactically, I think Tim touched on it, you started on it straight away, and tactically you just stifled that midfield. You played a high press. You stopped us doing what we're good at. You stopped us from playing. I mean, one of our better players, Cameron Brannigan, I forgot he was even playing, to be honest. He just couldn't get going. But I think that was more because you played so well tactically against stifling it, rather than us playing poorly, if that makes sense. Undoubtedly, we didn't play great, and certainly both of our goals, set pieces, we probably should have defended better. I think they were a little bit sloppy. But yeah, overall, I think it was a little bit of both. But I don't think overall for the full 90 minutes I've seen us play a lot worse, put it that way.
Yeah. I think that's the key question. So just onto the game then itself, Matt, we had, in my notes, I've got a Kaikai long range shot in 5 minutes. I can't even remember it, even though I've written it down myself. So I don't know if you can. And also, go on.
Sorry, I was going to say, I do remember he sort of just hit it over the crossbar, if that's the chance
that's the one. Yeah,
we're talking about. Which when I look at my sort of early thoughts about the game, everything that the guys have already said about us being high pressing and so on. I'll mention that as well. But also, I thought the reason why we were high pressing, and I thought that Kaikai and Ward in particular were pushing so much onto their fullbacks that's what stopped Oxford from going anywhere past the halfway line, really. I don't know whether that's, a part of Oxford's game plan generally, is to get their fullbacks moving forward. But, the pressure that we were putting on their back four in general was really impressive. And I thought that we learned a lot from playing Burton on Tuesday night, because they showed us how to do it in the first 45 minutes. And I'm sure that Critchley and Calderwood and the coaching team would have, that have shown the guys the video the next day or whatever, and just said, look, that's how you do it, lads. This is how you actually put teams under pressure. It's not just headless chicken stuff. It's concerted pressure. And by doing that, obviously, you bring mistakes from the opposition. For the first half generally, but the first 20, 25 minutes, it was just like we were watching a different team, really. We've tried to do the sort of pressure stuff before in the past, but it's always been a little bit, I don't know, just not quite right in a way. It's always been one player doing it, i.e. Jerry Yates runs around all the time, but you don't get it from other players. And that's why you see the value of of certain other midfielders, Kai, Ward and Virtue in particular, and Dougal. I thought all four of them were excellent in midfield today. Plus, Yates as well. And it was just an excellent start to the game. And one thing I didn't note, I'm just looking at my notes here, one thing that might have had an influence, that Oxford pumping crowd noise, don't they, Adam? And I don't know whether that actually makes a difference, but
I liked it. A lot of people slagged it off. I liked it.
Yeah.
We didn't to start the season, to be honest. It was something that we didn't do. And then it was so quiet. I mean, in that three-sided stadium as well, with you can hear the echoes and people shout. And it just seemed really flat and awful. And then they decided they were going to do it, and that coincided with our long run of 9 wins or whatever. So then they kept on, and then they kept on doing it. So that's why we've done it.
I just thought that. So if you're in the stadium, because a lot of the when you watch a lot of the games in the Premier League, that you can have the option, can't you? You can pipe it in or not. Yeah. But this is actually, as I understand it, it's coming through the tannoys in the stadium, isn't it? Yeah. Right. Which is I don't know how many teams do that.
I just thought it added a little bit something to it.
A lot of people slagged it off. I thought it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I know we've been used to watching, whoever, Sky, BT, whatever, with Premier League games piped in. But, it was just, maybe it's different for the players because, they only, I think BT and Sky, etc., they only pipe it in for the viewers. They don't pipe it in through the stadium necessarily. So maybe it actually helps the players to actually have a little bit of a real life type of experience and just change things slightly,
Ridiculous as it sounds, Matt, it sounds more realistic. That it's coming from the stadium.
Yeah. And the fact is, when you're 2-0 down and your home fans are still singing as well, it's quite encouraging.
we said that on the chat, didn't we? That Oxford fans are great; they're still singing even though they're 2-0 down. Great.
So, Adam, Blackpool, obviously, I think you probably agree with us, we've started the better side. Obviously, we've had Kai with this long-range shot on 5 minutes. Kenny Dougal, who scored the goal, he's blazed one over 9 minutes before. And just before the goal, we've had
we blocked one off the line.
A chance headed off the line, off the line by Ballard. But Brandon Barker was a player that caught my eye, getting down the left-hand side, getting in at Turton, and he's put a great ball in on 7 minutes into Maxwell's chest, but he was a thorn in our side all day. I thought more in the first half than the second.
Yeah, he had that driving run in 7 minutes, like you say, he put a cross into Taylor, didn't he, which nearly came off, but your keeper smothered it. And then I think he had another driving run on 19 minutes. And he was the only thing that we saw in the first half from an Oxford perspective, I think. I think there was another chance that Sykes maybe had a shot from inside the box that went, I think it probably went wider than it looked on the iFollow footage. But I mean, this is one of the things.
He's from Rangers, isn't he? Is he the guy you got from Rangers?
So we've got him on loan from Rangers, and he came in and he's in his first game he looked a class above, and can't remember who it was against now. He scored his first goal for us, and then he sort of blew hot and cold a little bit, and he sort of went missing in a couple of games, and we were sort of like, he's one of those players that, because he's got such pace, sometimes when he loses the ball, he looks a bit lazy, as if he's not doing the other side of the game and tracking back. So at first everyone's like, oh, is he going to be one of those players that we end up hating because he doesn't put a shift in, but he might buy you a couple of goals with his driving runs. But he seems to have, the last couple of games, certainly he seems to be a real nuisance. I mean, he was devastating against Doncaster on Tuesday, and he certainly looked like our main threat today. He's a sort of catalyst, I think. We lost, we had a loanee from Nottingham Forest, can't think of his name now, but he's out injured, Marcus McGuane, out injured for the season, and he was the sort of player that everybody was excited about pre-season and coming into the season, and losing him has been a real big blow. So getting Barker in January has kind of got us excited again, that we've got that sort of player that can be a real game changer, hopefully, for us. And where we stand now, after all said and done, and after today's game, I think we've dropped down to, I think it's 11th, and I think it's still with about 3 points. It's very congested in there. He's the sort of player that we're going to need to really show his worth if we're going to challenge for the playoffs, really.
I think that this is why Ward was possibly selected over Mitchell, as far as we were concerned, to help negate what Brandon Barker could give Oxford, really. I just thought he was probably going to be a bit more disciplined in that role, whereas Mitchell probably wouldn't be. And you could tell after the first 4 or 5 minutes that he was definitely going to be one of Oxford's danger players, really. And maybe that's something that we fans, as much as good as Mitchell played on Tuesday night, it's one of the reasons why Neil Critchley and the rest sort of see other things.
Yeah, it's a great point. What do we know, eh? I mean, I'll doff my flat cap to Coach Critchley, that decision. Right, Tim, so the writing was on the wall for our opening goal. A minute before, Ballard's had a header cleared just off the line from a Kai corner. Brilliant corner from Kai. The way it swang out and then in, he's not taken a corner like that before, has he?
I've always wanted Garbutt to take every set piece for us, but I have to say the last 2 games, Kai has massively upped his game on his set plays, and if we've got 2 people who can deliver a ball, all well and good, it gives that variation, and because if you've got one, then the other side might start to sort of work out what you're going to do. And I've got to say, his set pieces all day today were quality. Mm.
As for the goal itself, then came from another corner, I think.
I think it was a Kai. Was it a Kai? I think it was a Kai corner, wasn't it? And then
I think Matty Taylor headed it clear to start with, but
and then Thornley.
No, it was headed back in from Kai Eddie. That's my son's name. Tim Kai headed it back into the mix, if you remember.
Yeah.
Bro, I think it must have been from Garbutt, because it was on the other side.
Yeah, it was Garbutt.
Yeah, it was cleared by Matty Taylor. Kai's headed it back into the mix, flicked on by Thornley. And
good touch by Thornley, to be fair. Yeah. Who I thought, we were all perhaps with Hubby missing today. We perhaps listen. I think Thornley actually has really stepped up to the plate, and I thought he had a great game today. And he's got up there. He's won the header, and it's just probably. I mean, one of the disappointing aspects of Dougal's career with us so far is his lack of goals, isn't it? And or he seems to have
off the mark finally.
Yeah, and he's finally off. It's taken him 8 months, but he's had some great performances. We need midfielders who are going to score goals, is what I'm really trying to say. And this is why we've championed Virtue a bit, isn't it? Because he's always looks like he's going to, where Stewart and Dougal never do. And it was good to see Dougal in there, and he clearly enjoyed scoring the goal. And it was a bit, just dropped right for him, didn't it, in the 6 yard, just on the edge of the 6 yard box. He had a little bit of space and he buried it, which is what you want in that scenario. So, important moment for us really, because we'd had all the pressure, and I think sometimes we've been in games and we've had that pressure and not done anything with it. And I think today what we saw is when we had the first half, we made it count, and it was important because as we're going to go on to talk to, Oxford did come back into the game, and that and the fact that we had that cushion was important, because we've wasted so much possession, so many chances in early parts of the season, and it's cost us. And today we were clinical, and Dougal's, there's nothing special about the goal really, was there? It was just hit it and he scored, but
hit the target, Tim.
Hit the target, and the point being is we deserved it. We were by far and away, for me, in that period, in that first half, never mind the first 15, 20 minutes, that first half, we were the better side, and we deserved to be 1-0 up at that point. And so I was glad to see it hit the back of the net.
This season, do you tend to score a lot of goals from set pieces and corners specifically?
You don't score goals at all. That's our problem.
One thing I noticed was you were really loading the box. Our commentators on Radio Oxford picked up on it as well, that traditionally Oxford tend to struggle with defending set pieces, but we seem to have managed to get a grip of that with Elliot Moore, our centre half, the big fella that we got from Leicester, and Rob Atkinson. They've really been able to solve that problem with us in terms of we haven't been so frail at conceding corners. But you were really loading the box right from, I think, Garbutt's first corner in the 14th minute. You're causing us all kinds of problems. And it just seemed to be the sheer amount of bodies you were putting in the box that we couldn't seem to deal with. And hence, I think Atkinson could have probably done a bit better with his, with defending it, but it sort of fell behind him, and your man made no mistake in scoring.
Yeah, to be honest, Adam, our set pieces generally over the last 30 games or whatever it is that we've played have been pretty poor. It's literally only in the last few weeks that we've sort of, stumbled, if that's the right word, onto a bit of a formula in terms of how to do them. Garbutt has got great delivery. We all know that. And I don't think we're one of the biggest sides in League One. So I think we just tend to get bodies in the box. And, you only need a little flick, don't you, when you're talking about somebody like Garbutt putting a decent delivery in. So you don't have to be 6'5" and rising above everybody. You only have to get a little deflection onto something. And Dan Ballard scored 2 in 2, 2 in 3 now, I think it is. From that sort of delivery. We've had many arguments on this podcast and before this season anyway about our floaty, crappy corners. And all of a sudden, you only have to put a bit of pace on them and get them in the right area, and it causes all sorts of problems. And it doesn't matter whether you're, the best defensive outfit or the worst offensive outfit. If you get the delivery right, you're going to cause problems. So, fortunately, touch wood, we seem to have caused and fallen on something. We're not fallen on something. We've always had the place to do it. It's just the execution, and we seem to be executing it a lot better than we have done over the last few months, really.
And do you notice tonight? Do you notice today as well? Not one prattling around with two
Short
people
corner.
standing over the ball. We didn't do it once. We did do it once in the second half on Tuesday after the first half where we did. I think they've been told categorically, stop, excuse the vernacular, fucking about on free kicks and corners. And I think that's what they've been told. I genuinely think they've been told that. And all of a sudden we've stopped doing it. And all of a sudden they've improved dramatically.
Do you think that one of the reasons why we've almost been lazy with them is the fact that they train at Squires Gate? And Squires Gate, Adam, just to let you know, is literally on the beach at Blackpool. So you just get 85-mile-an-hour winds and all the rest of it. And you can get away with floaty, crappy balls that just cause mayhem, I'm sure, in training sessions. And I just wonder whether they've actually realised that what they need to do is just, not be on a gale force, open wind sort of environment and actually work hard at these bloody set pieces. And like you say, Tim, stop fucking about with them, quite frankly.
Bit of blue for the dance. Bit of blue.
No C word tonight, though.
No, not yet. There's time.
We had a C bomb dropped, Adam, a couple of weeks ago by a youngster the other day. By Ben. It was a fabulous moment on this show. Mark Sykes, Adam. If you remember that chance when he's got down the right and he's drilled it just wide of the post. He was a tricky customer, but again faded a bit in the second half.
He missed a better chance in the second half than he did in the first. I really, really like Sykes as a player. He's taken a little bit. I mean, he hasn't scored since against you guys. Was it last season?
Yeah, they mentioned that. Comms.
Sorry. At the Kassam Stadium, he's not scored since because he scored for us in the playoff final. But he's one of those players that's blown hot and cold. Carl Robinson dropped him for a little bit, and it took him out of the team. And actually, he wasn't even making the bench for a little bit. So he's come back in, and I like what I see from him. But he's got to be more deadly with his finishing because he gets in the right places and gets chances, but he just really isn't potent with hitting the target. And time again, he gets 2 or 3 chances that are golden and doesn't take them for us, and that can be the difference sometimes.
Yeah. As Tim always says on this show, don't you, Tim? What do you say a striker should do?
Hit the target.
Hit the target. Make the keeper work.
Was my brother would shout, "Hit the target!" It used to be anybody who sat in the north stand anywhere near us would be serenaded by my brother's rather erudite analysis of what a striker needs to do.
What's your brother's name, Tim?
Jonathan.
Jonathan needs
Halifax
to
71.
Okay, Jonathan needs to give Mark Sykes a bit of coaching
Yeah,
with regards striking on goal. I think. Man.
Well, if you saw the goal that Sykes scored in the playoff final against Wickham, it was a cross that went in, so it wasn't even a
Was
shot.
it really?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was like was it Ronaldinho that scored against David Seaman?
Seaman, Lord Seaman, yeah.
Similar, wasn't it? Yeah.
But you can imagine Ronaldinho actually played for that and executed it as good as he was.
Well, yeah, maybe.
I don't know. We're putting Mark Sykes in the same category as Ronaldinho anyway. So 30 minutes, Matt. We had the Ward cross shot that tickled my fancy, and I'm sure it did yours. And then 5 minutes later, Gorrin's don't know his first name. Misplaced past Kai. He's intercepted the ball down on goal, and he should have hit the target. Really, curled it just wide. I was thinking of Tim as Jonathan Fielding. Then I was thinking, hit the target.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was a decent effort, and obviously, as we've mentioned already, with iFollow, you don't get the benefit of any other sort of camera angles or anything. So, was it an inch wide? It looked pretty close because I think it hit the stanchion, didn't it, behind the one that was holding the netting up. So it was obviously very close. But at that particular point, you just thought, whilst we were still on top, which is unusual for us, full stop. But as an away team, 30 odd minutes into the game, you just think, 2-0, and that's pretty 80% of the job done, isn't it, really, at that particular point? So was it going to be a chance, sort of wasted as such, albeit it was 20 yards out, but it was one of those where he should have hit the target, as you said. But, we were obviously fortunate enough that what was it, about 5 minutes later or thereabouts, then we got our second. So
I want to stick up for Kai, and listen, I'm
not slagging him off.
I ever thought I'd say that this season, but I just thought it was an exceptional shot, and he was very unlucky. It must have been close to hit for it to be curling that way and hit the stanchion behind. It must the upright behind. It must have been very, very close.
But it didn't affect Kai though, did it, Tim? Because as Matt's just alluded to, 5 minutes after that event, he's put in another beautiful cross, an outswinger that's coming in, and Ballard does as Ballard did, and leapt like a salmon and powered it into the Oxford goal to put us 2-0 up.
It's a great cross, and it's a fantastic header, isn't it? And it's just what you want on 42 minutes. I'm sure Adam will disagree, but as an away team, we probably deserved to be going at 2-0. But if we're going at 1-0, as we're going to go and talk about Oxford, change it, mix it up a bit, make a couple of subs, start coming at us, but. Giving us ourselves that 2-goal cushion just before half time is just what we wanted. And, Ballard is really starting to fill out in that position, isn't he? He's come in, he's a young lad. He's only played a couple of games for Swindon. Was it Swindon, wasn't it, last year? Because he got injured. He's still finding his feet, but he's a good footballer. You can see he's a good footballer. And he's getting more, but he's taking the game to the other end of the pitch as well. He knows how to defend, and he's now starting to notch a couple of goals, which is what you want from a centre half. You want at least one of your centre halves to be getting 6-7 goals a season, just like we used to get out of Ian Everett, just like we used to get out of Peter Clark, and Ballard's showing he's that type of player who can actually do that. And it was a proper get-in moment, wasn't it, when that one went in?
Fat Goat Sack there, Tim's just said Ballard is magnificent, but it's going to be interesting to see how we'll do without him, because he's out now for the next 2 games, isn't he? International call-up, which is unfortunate.
I think from... I'm sure Adam might want to comment on the way that Oxford conceded that particular corner, because it was from what I recall, it was like was it a goal kick, Adam? And
it was shocking, wasn't it?
Gave it to the centre half, and then Liam Kelly just miscontrolled it, and it went out for that particular corner. It was horrific from.
Yeah, I mean, it looked a shambles, and you just think, how the hell have we ended up conceding the corner there? James Constable, one of our former strikers, one of our top goal scorers of past, he was chatting at half time, and he defended him and said that it looked like it took a really big bobble, apparently, which I didn't see it on the iFiler coverage. It looked terrible. So yeah, I don't agree with James Constable on that one. But yeah, it was disappointing because it was of our own making. To obviously, you started to put a good ball into the box, and it was a good corner in and a good goal. But yeah, it was all our own making, really.
Mm-hmm. So Adam, what were your thoughts at half time then? Did you think you were going to get back into this game at all?
No, my. Pre-game, I thought they had a 1-1 sort of vibe written all over it. Looking at your, in terms of how many goals you concede, I couldn't see you conceding 2. You seem like you've been pretty tight at the back, and knowing, and we haven't exactly, but with the Doncaster game aside, we haven't exactly been, filling our boots with goals recently either. So, I knew it was going to be an uphill task. I certainly couldn't see it. I thought it was all going to hinge on, if we could get an early goal into the second half, then maybe we could have, changed the game a little bit if we'd scored early, but I really couldn't see it, to be honest.
Yeah, so you made 2 substitutions at half time, didn't you? What do you think the Carl Robinson's thought process was?
Well, he took Kelly off, didn't he? So I don't know if he was upset about the corner conceding.
Must have been.
Yeah,
I suspect that had something to do with it, didn't it?
Yeah.
Because as a manager, you're going to be really, really upset when a player does something like that.
Yeah, and was it Gorin he took off as well? Was it Kelly and Gorin? Yep. I think he took off.
Yeah. Gorin made a big mistake as well in the build-up to Kai having that shot that just went wide. So he's
Gorin's more of a defensive midfielder. So I think, and Kelly sometimes fills in that role if Gorin's not playing. So I think it was just a more 2-0 down. Robinson sort of going for the more attacking. Because we were chasing the game, weren't we? So I think he knew that we had to go a bit more attack minded. And apart from initially, I think you had a real opportunity on 46 minutes straight out to half time where Atkinson nearly put it in his own net, sliding down, and thought, "Oh God,
it was like a mother goose laying on an egg, wasn't he, protecting the ball?" I
thought, "Oh no, here we go. It's going to be one of them halves." But then after that, initial scare, I think we then got a bit more hold of the game a little bit. Like Shadipo certainly looked lively coming on and had a few chances. And, we certainly looked like we may get one back, but you defended well and resolutely. So
you mentioned Shadipo there, so I've written in my notes. He had a counter attack on 47 minutes. He's fired straight at Maxwell, but the better chance came on 55 minutes when you broke and you were 4-on-2. Really, Shadipo's been slotted the ball on the right hand side and. It's a great block from Garbutt, but you should have really scored at that point in the game, and that was a key moment in the game for me.
Yeah, and just before that, I think Atkinson had a header as well, straight at the keeper.
I was having a piss. when that was on, so I missed it.
All right, well, yeah, I think that was one of the better chances we had in the second half.
It was a free header, wasn't it, on a replay?
Yeah, and so yeah, we had that spell sort of like you say around between sort of the 50-minute mark and the 55-minute mark where we looked like this could be the window that we get one back, but yeah, sadly didn't come.
just before that, I don't know whether anybody picked up on it, but I think it was just before Oxford broke away for that particular chance. But we were attacking, and Grant Ward was in the area, and he seemed to go down. And I don't know whether it was we seemed to appeal quite strongly for a penalty. Obviously, it wasn't given, but I don't know whether anybody had a view on that at all. But I didn't. I don't know. It's difficult to see. Really,
I'd like to have seen it again, Matt.
Yeah, it's one of those.
Yeah, I'd agree.
But like you say, the player's reaction tends to tell the story in those situations.
Yeah. Well, we sort of all go up for it, and Oxford players also go a bit sheepish. And it was like, all right, well, the referee obviously didn't think it was, so that was the end of that. But I just thought it was just a bit strange that those that were involved in the incident seemed to be fairly confident about it anyway. But it's one of those we'll never know, will we? Unfortunately.
Right, back to my notes. Tim, come to you now. I've put Embleton drags one wide just after good work on the right, lacking in power though. It was like kind of a P-roller that just went right wide. If you remember, he'd worked himself into a great position, just didn't catch it. It's just onto the keeper's right hand side, I think.
Just generally about Embleton, I think our renaissance has sort of coincided.
Renaissance, another Timism, a Rudice and Renaissance.
Has coincided with him being on the pitch, and I thought he had a fantastic first half.
Who says all Northerners are thick, Adam? Sorry, Tim. Go on.
I should have gone to Oxford, shouldn't I?
You should. You know, Tim. You do. You'd have fitted like a glove at Oxford University. I can just see you.
Get the gown on.
Yeah, with your gown on, you jump and not
I hate all the gowners, don't you? You hate all the gowners in Oxford.
The gowners, is that what they're called?
I think so.
Yeah, they have a game, town versus gown, and yeah.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting your flow.
No, but I thought Emberton had a great first half, and I think he sort of a little bit faded in the second, didn't he? He wasn't quite as effective as he was, and as you say, he sort of didn't quite connect with that the way that you would want him to. But overall, I think he has been the fluidity that we seem to have with that. With him in the side,
he links everything together, doesn't he? He's really impressed me over the last game.
And he hasn't impressed me before, so it's been a bit strange to see. But obviously, we went to this sort of rather traditional 4-4-2, Adam, basically to accommodate, because the only way we could ever score goals was with Medine and Yates up front together, and with Medine being out, we've struggled to score. And then we seem to have stumbled across this system that seems to all of a sudden it seems to suit the way, particularly the way Kai plays, and Embleton's has been able to ghost in and link play up really, really well. It seems to suit Yates. It seems to suit Virtue. It seems to suit Dougal, and I think it's probably I mean, the interesting bit's going to be if Medine comes back and he's fit. Do you then go to a 4-4-2 to accommodate him, or do you stick with this system, which actually sees us play some of the best football that we've seen all season? And I think my answer to that is you've got to stick with the system that plays the best football.
Yeah.
But it's got to,
Sorry, Tim. I was going to say, I just wonder whether, obviously, Adam will know the guy that I'm about to mention as well. I just wonder whether he's a better version of Ben Woodburn. Because we tried that sort of thing earlier in the season and it didn't quite work. And I just wonder whether, it's not too dissimilar to what we've had in terms of a formation in the past. It's just that whether Embleton does something slightly different that Woodburn didn't. But I think we have sort of stumbled across this, all right, it's only been, let's be honest, it's only been 135 minutes of football or 150 minutes of football or whatever it's been since Burton on Tuesday night, but it's definitely a case now if it's not broke, so let's not try and fix it. Let's just enhance it and run with it and see where it takes us.
So as we came into the final 20 minutes of the game, we've had a decent chance which Stevens has tipped over when, I think was it Yates has played a 1-2 with Embleton again. He's got into the box and Stevens has just got his hand to it. You've gone down the other end with him. Is it Ajayi? How do you pronounce his name?
Adji.
Adji.
Yeah.
He's drilled one and it's gone straight at Maxwell. And I've just read in my notes, Adam, that on 75 minutes, Oxford are pressing now and look dangerous. And I think that was a period in the game when you were pressing and you were creating quite a few chances. And I think had one gone in that period of game, it could have made the last 15 minutes pretty uncomfortable. Blackpool.
Yeah, I think Sam Winnell had a header as well, didn't he, when he came on? That I don't think it was particularly testing. I think it was straight down the keeper's throat. And I think there was another one where Barker was involved and he drove into the box and then he ended up laying it off to Shadipo and then it sort of got blocked across the box. And there was, it didn't end up in us having actually a shot on target, but there was a few moments where we had some possession in and around your box, which looked like might come to something. But I have to say, I thought you defended incredibly well. Certainly in those crucial moments, in that spell, you were blocking shots. You were, and then also hitting us on the counter as well. When we were pressing, you were going at the other end and still being threatening at the other end. So yeah, I think it was very good game management from Blackpool's part, and I think the tactics to play against us were spot on really from your gaffer. So I think he's done his homework well. To be fair,
he's on the thread somewhere, so I'm sure he'll be on. Taking the plaudits in a bit.
Watching us on the coach on the way back, won't he? Definitely. I wrote down as well that between, I think it was 80 and 90 minutes, I thought we were brilliant. The game management, we seemed to control the ball. We knew what we were doing. And yeah, I think if I was an Oxford fan, I would just be like, you got to hold your hands up at that particular point in time and just think, we're just not not going to get back into this game. It's going to take something ridiculous for us to do it. And, as an away team, I thought that last 10 or 15 minutes, I thought
their
really,
commentators basically said the same, Matt. And I've got to say a big shout out for those two, because I actually thought they were quite good. They were
one of the best I've heard this season.
We've had some shocking,
really?
commentators this year, Adam, and your two. They start off quite well because they use the word tangerine at the beginning rather than orange. So they're always going to get a few brownie points off Blackpool fans for that anyway. But actually, their analysis of the game was pretty good, I thought. And they were very knowledgeable. They were very knowledgeable, and they were honest in what they said. They weren't particularly biased towards Oxford, which is good. Always good. When you listen as a away fan,
you say that, because we have a laugh at Jace, Jerome Sale and Peter Rose Brown that were commentating on it today, and they've obviously been doing it forever. And they used to be a lot more biased than they are these days, because sometimes you could tune in like sort of midway through the second half and you'd be listening, you'd think, oh, Oxford must be 3-0 up, and then you'd be 3-0 down, and you think, blimey neck.
Someone's had a word with them, haven't they? Cut it out, you're off.
But no, we love them. They're really good representatives of our club. So I'm glad to hear that you enjoy their commentary as well.
Yeah, no, somebody said in the comments that they didn't get many of our. They mixed up Mitchell and Dougal at one point, but that's because they both got bright blonde hair. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I'm more interested whether they get all the names right is less important for me than whether the analysis is good. And listen, if you're the commentator, trying to get to grips with all the opposition can be quite difficult, can't it? So I just thought they were fair, and I thought that the comments they were making were good. And it was just quite refreshing, really, because some of it I actually end up want to turn the commentary down. It's like I have no commentary on at all. Yeah, Charlton being one I remember, and then K Dons being another. Yeah. I'll call it when it's right. And I thought I enjoyed listening to what they had to say.
I was instantly hooked, as it were, when they announced that Peter Rose Brown was going to be co-commentating, because as a kid, it was always a name that fascinated me, because prior to Gary Taylor Fletcher, there weren't many double-barreled surnames in the Football League. So
10 a penny now, aren't they?
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah. So Peter Rose Brown was sort of like a blaze trailer in terms of a trailblazer, even in terms of double barrel.
In answer to Christian's comment, yes, that is the Chelsea reject. Peter Rose Brown.
Yeah. He always seems to have a permatan, didn't he, as well? I don't know. That's
like David Dickinson.
Yeah.
Phil Brown.
Yeah. Obviously had the same sunbed contract.
Right. Okay. So we had another chance just 2 minutes before the end of the game. Gabriel's burst into the box. Tim, great energy to get in there, but he's taking it on his right foot. I think maybe should have just. Yeah, I think he panicked a bit, didn't he?
It probably just didn't sit up for him right, and he ended up I think it left the ground, didn't it? I think it went into the virus centre behind the back.
The virus centre. Yeah, they were all having the jabs there.
Jabs. I actually put a note down here, John, that it was good to see so many people getting the jabs at Oxford.
The name of the title of the show, by the way, Oxford Jabbed.
Yeah, I thought that's where he got it from. But to be fair, I mean, if he connected with it right, it would have been absolute quality, wasn't it? Because the initial phases of it were great work by him, and it's what I like about him as a footballer. It would have made a fantastic goal, but it wasn't to be.
Hang on a minute, is this right? Ollie Turton, loving the show, lads, but enjoy watching it on the coach. Keep up the good work. I wonder if it's the real Ollie. Right, Ollie, if it is you, put something on your Twitter feed, or get Jerry Yates or whoever to say it is actually you, and put it on Twitter and at Seasiders Pod, just to know it is you. So that'll be quality if it is.
Ollie with a J. Not sure.
And I'll just say, Ollie, I've always stuck up for you, unlike everybody else. So free tickets next season, And
we haven't done the scorings for man of the match yet. So
if you want a 10, I want a season ticket for next season. No, I don't want a season ticket. I want a place in the executive box. So there you go.
Prawn sandwiches. With your flat cap
he's probably said it's probably just raggy. I bet it is.
Or Joe Atherton. There's a couple of them.
Yeah. Right. So as the game petered out, Adam, 6 minutes of injury time's gone up. were you confident that you were going to sneak one in that time and possibly make a fist of it for the last closing sections of the game?
To be honest, not really, because I think like from about the 75th minute, I didn't really feel like we'd done that much in the final sort of 10 minutes, let alone the injury time. So I thought the game had already sort of been seen out pretty well by you guys. So, I'm always fairly confident that we'll get one last chance from somewhere. But yeah, I certainly couldn't see us scoring and then scoring again or anything to get anything out of the game. So no is my honest answer.
Matt, as that 6 minutes went up, were you worried at all? And for the first thing that came into my head was like, 6 fucking minutes? Where did they got that from?
The first thing that came into my head was 6 minutes and I need a piss. So I thought, right, oh, bloody hell, here we go. But
Smith.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I was... as far as a awake performance can be, I was as comfortable as you can be, apart from twitching in my seat for a few minutes. Like I said before, I thought we managed the game really, really well the last, 15 minutes or thereabouts. And yeah, it was as good an away performance as you're likely to see in League One, really. It was great to be 2-0 up at half time. And then obviously we have once, maybe twice before being 2-0 up at half time. Doncaster away, obviously. And, just to let you know, Adam, we were 2-0 up at Doncaster, absolutely battered them, really. And then we conceded 3 inside like 12 minutes.
It's a bit like the first half against you.
Yeah, it was. So, it just never sort of transpired that it was going to be a dodgy sort of second half. Really, we managed it well, and I thought substitutions made were pretty sort of solid, stroke obvious as well. So it was it was good to see, and it's actually made a change that when we look at the league table, which won't be too far away, I'm sure that we can actually say we're not 12th for a change.
Let's get it up now, as the nun said to the vicar.
Did you lose virtue to an injury as well in the second half?
Yeah.
It looks like an ankle, I think. So,
we've
let's
been
make
really
this bigger. As the nun said to the vicar.
We've spent the whole season, Adam, dealing with injuries. I don't think we've ever not had about 5 on the injury on the treatment table.
Anyway, let's look at this, Tim. Blackpool are finally out of 12th. We're actually 10th. Gone ahead of Oxford.
I'm quite happy that we're just sort of, I'm in a weird way, I'd rather us stay out of those top 6 places until it really matters. But it's getting really close in there, isn't it? If you look at now, and previously there was a chance to get 6th maybe, but now there's a chance to get 5th. And Lincoln have hit a bit of a bad period, haven't they?
They're going to drop, Tim. I think Lincoln are going to drop, and I think Donny are going to drop.
So all of a sudden, you're looking at us against Lincoln. We've got 3 games in hand. Yeah, yes, they are.
Charlton was shite as well.
Yeah, they're 9 points ahead of us, but they're catchable, aren't they? And there's a number of teams now within that. It's not just one place that's up for grabs. I still think, to be fair to Adam, Oxford are going to have a bit to say in this running. I think us and Oxford are the 2 teams who've got the ability to push our way into that top 6 out of the teams who aren't there already.
Based on the results from today, you guys must be ecstatic, because I think, was it every team in the top 9 drew, with the exception of Portsmouth beating Ipswich today?
Yeah, that's right.
So that's really, obviously, no one's, obviously with Blackpool beating us, you're the only ones that have really made up ground other than Portsmouth in that entire top half of the table. So,
and the bizarre thing, Adam, is we've drawn the last 4 home games against some pretty crap teams, to be fair, but our away, it's bizarre. We always thought our away or our home performances would get us in there, but actually at the moment it's our away performances that are keeping us up, involved and not losing. We're not losing games, which is the important thing. So like today, it's a proper 6-pointer today, and that's done us the power of good for me.
Adam, I was telling Steve before the game, I was telling him that we play better against the better sides, and we have better results against the better sides, and we struggle against the teams of perceived less ability. So it's a strange one, really. Right, Adam. So thanks ever so much for joining us this evening. We're going to go do rate the players and our man of the match. So it'll be pretty dull for you though. So thanks ever so much for coming on. It's great to have your insights.
Thanks for having me, and best of luck for the rest of the season.
Yeah, we may see you in the playoffs. Who knows?
Oh, who knows?
Right, cheers, mate.
No worries. Take care.
Cheers. Thanks a lot. Bye. Right, this is going to be good. Player ratings. Tim, let's kick off. You can have Maxwell, and you warble on while I get the graphic on the screen.
Well, before you do, Tim, I've just scribbled down something that I did earlier on in the game actually, and just while we'll have a little bit of a talking point about this. Do you think we're a better side? And whether it's coincidental, I don't know. But do you think we're a better side without Kevin Stewart? Does it make us a little bit more dynamic?
The short answer is that my issue with Stewart is he plays too deep, and he doesn't take the game to the opposition in the way that Dougal does. And I think that when Dougal was sat on the bench, I was getting a bit frustrated, and I think we're starting to see the reason. For me, I don't profess to know everything in relation to in the way that Critchley will, but I think keeping Dougal out the side was a massive mistake. And our only issue is, it seems to me, is whether we can actually play them both together. And I think that's the conundrum for Coach Critchley and the rest of the management team, as to whether they can accommodate both, because they're both great footballers. There's no shadow of a doubt. And I'm not criticising Stewart as a player, but I think Dougal on his game gives us far more going forward than Stewart does. And it's because I think he plays probably 30 yards further up the pitch.
Yeah.
I think that's where it comes from.
Yeah. I tend to agree. I think also, and like you say, from generally speaking, from Tuesday night onwards, whether we've sort of stumbled across this by luck or by judgment, I don't know. But I always think that, it's at the end of the day, it's League One, isn't it? So it's always a bit sort of harem scarum in terms of, getting the ball quickly forward and all the rest of it. And I do think that Dougal and, surprisingly, I guess, Virtue as a combination are proved to be pretty good. Now, equally, I think Dougal and Ward are pretty good, but the common denominator in that is Dougal. And I think that that's because he is a little bit more, he gets it, he gives it quick. He doesn't, for want of a vernacular, he doesn't fanny around with it, really. He doesn't go backwards too often. When he does, it's just because it is the right thing to do. Whereas I think Stewart, and I'm not overcritical of Stewart, I think he's a great footballer, but I just think at the moment, it's not necessarily what we possibly need to do to beat teams, and or at least to be a bit more competitive with teams. So, as much as I don't want to see a player injured, obviously, it might just be our good fortune that this might just be the way forward with things, perhaps.
I think if you're going to play him as well, if you're going to play Stewart and Dougal, it's got to be in a 3-5-2 or a version of that where there's three at the back and we forgo and we play Stewart as the holding midfielder, maybe with Dougal playing slightly further forward with Virtue. We've got to think about you got to think creatively about how you do it. But if you're going to play your best players, 4-4-2 doesn't suit us, and we've proved today that we play better football when we don't play. We're all shouting 4-4-2 because we want to score goals, and we wanted Medina and we wanted two up front where we're playing one. But we've stumbled across a system at the moment that may work for us, and I think we've got to stick with this over the next few games and see how it pans out.
I think it's almost been enforced, Tim. The fact that Medina's out, he's had to mix it up, and Sims isn't the answer, is he? 6
players out. So Sims for me, bit part player now, and it's no disrespect to him, but I think we've given him a go. If Medina's not fit, we've got to work with this system. And if Medina's fit, we've then got to decide whether we change the system to accommodate Medina or do we not? Or do we keep Medina back as a plan B when we need to change it? And we've always talked about not having a plan B. Maybe now we've got plan A and a plan B.
I mean,
so when Medina's back, we've got two plans, haven't we? Sorry, Matt, go on.
Yeah, I was going to say, and decent crosses from Kai on the left and Ward on the right in particular, and we seem to have bodies in the boxes again, which is what we had in that sort of I'm trying to think back now. Was it like October to November sort of phase of our season where we seem to be, winning games? We seem to get bodies in the box, and if you're getting bodies in the box, then that's going to increase your chances, surely. And yeah, I think this system does suit us. I think it could be Dougal and Ward. It could be Dougal, and I'm sure it could be Dougal and Stewart again. But equally, if it is, then it's just got to be, a little bit more direct, a little bit more positive, and a little bit braver, as we mentioned at the halftime on Tuesday, in possession. And if we're braver in possession with the ball, I think we'll still cause any team problem. And obviously now we've got Oxford out of the way. We've got another big game on Tuesday night, and if we can get, let's be honest, if we can get 3 points again, it's Peterborough on Tuesday night.
Double on them.
Yeah, I'd take a draw Tuesday, to be fair. But
they conceded 3 against Rochdale.
They only just scabbed, last minute as well. They were 3-2 down.
So, there's every chance, isn't there? And then we can start to get pretty giddy, can't we?
That'll be a real marker put down to the division if we do the double on Peterborough on Tuesday. So,
yeah, definitely.
Fingers crossed.
Anyway, on to the markings. That was long-winded.
Player ratings, this has gone really... We're on an hour 7. This has flown by, this pod. Absolutely flown by. Tim, so let's start with you then.
It deserves extra time, to be fair, doesn't it? Listen, we've been critical, we've been negative, but when we can be positive, let's make hay while the sun shines.
Yep.
Player ratings, Tim. Chris Maxwell. Let's fire through these.
Yeah. I thought his distribution was good at the back. And listen, I think you almost become a bit anaesthetised to it. In that you're so used
another
to
good one. That's three Timisms.
I'm on form tonight.
Hat-trick.
But I do think we underrate him sometimes in relation to the way in which he acts as that last line of defence. And I thought it was a really, really solid game today. I'm going to give him a very, very good 8.
I think the sign of a good keeper is when you kind of don't notice them, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you don't know they're there. Yeah. Never makes any mistakes.
He didn't have to do anything exceptional tonight, otherwise, this afternoon. So that's why he's got an 8 rather than a 9. And I think you're going to see that my scoring is going to be slightly higher tonight than it's normally. So,
it's fully deserved, I think. Today's performance.
I think as a keeper, he didn't have a huge amount to do. So it's an 8+.
Ollie Turton, Matt.
Yeah, he's carrying on where he's left off the last few games, isn't he? He's not just a steady Eddie, as Chizzy would say. He's obviously doing a little bit more than that, and he's proving rather to be not only just a good defender, but he is getting forward when the situations allow. A very
very tidy footballer, isn't he?
Yeah, he is, and on the basis of today's performance as well, another a very solid 8 out of 10, really.
Dan Ballard, Tim. Our centre-half, Colossus, almost scored and then scored a minute later. Just gets better and better for me.
Yeah, the consummate performance from Dan today. He defended well. He was commanding at the back, and he scored. And from a centre-half, that you can't really ask much more. And so I'm going to give him it's a 9. It's a quality performance from him today, and we're going to miss him. Hopefully, Gretson's back. Hopefully, Tubby's back, and therefore we've got someone to come in. I think Thorne. We're going to talk about Thorne, but I think Thorne has got to keep his place. But I think we need one of those two to step up to the mark on Tuesday. But great performance, Dan. We're going to miss you. Get back soon.
We'll certainly be missed. Jordan Thornley, Matt.
Yeah,
one of those players you don't notice he's there because he's not made any mistakes again.
No, and to be honest, as a crappy ex centre half myself at various levels, I would rather I'd take that. You know what I mean? And I think I suppose the worrying thing about just going back to Dan Ballard not being there is that we're now left with just left-footed centre halves, aren't we, for the next 2 or 3 games or whatever it is. So we'll see how they get on. But I thought Thornley was all you could ask for, wasn't it? Really, he actually assisted a goal. Solid at the back, and it was a good solid 8 out of 10 for me, as well as Turton's earlier.
Just looking for the Luke Garbutt. There it is. Tim, Luke Garbutt, another fantastic performance from our flying left back.
There's a few great performances out there today. And listen, I don't think anybody out there had a bad performance, but there's a few great ones. And one of the great ones was by Luke today. I think I can't give him a higher compliment than to say that's the best left back performance I've seen since Craney's played for us. And I'm giving him a 10. My first 10 of the season. And I just thought he defended fantastically. His set plays were fantastic. And I couldn't ask any more of a left back.
It's normally a stick people used to beat him with, isn't it? His defensive abilities.
Qualities have improved.
It was out of this world
massively, and he just almost took the piss out of the players he was playing against. He made it look easy, and it's when you make it look easy when you're on top of your game, and he's on top of his game. And listen, I don't give out 10s. I don't.
No.
I mean,
no, you don't.
Well, we've only had one so far. Tom gave one where I didn't think he should have given a 10. And listen, if I'm given the opportunity, there's another one coming at least today, because I think today we showed what a good team we are. And there's certain players who played at the top of their game. And if we keep doing that, we're going up.
Kenny Dougal, he's got to be up there for a decent score as well, Matt.
Yeah, I think I'm going to ask, I'm going to have to ask my mum to knock on his door at the weekend and just say, well done, being that he is a neighbour. He was awesome today. I think that he's come back into the squad after obviously a little bit of a sabbatical, and he's absolutely back to his brilliant best, isn't he? I think he's
overcome the COVID. I think he's overcome the hangover from COVID, hasn't he? That's definitely affected him, I think.
Yeah, whatever it was, it's too much blonde bleach in his eyes, whatever. He's just done brilliantly the last couple of games, and today I thought he was the man of the match. So if Garbutt's going to get a 10, I'm going to have to give Dougal a 10, aren't I?
Yeah, and I would have given him a 10 as well.
Yeah, and he scored, obviously.
Matty Virtue, Tim, went off injured on, was it two-thirds through the game? So Matty Virtue's performance.
Yeah. I thought he knitted really, really well with the way that we were playing. He was very much involved in this high pressing game that I was so impressed with. So whilst he perhaps didn't get into the box in the way that we've seen him do in other games, his overall contribution, I think, was really, really high. So I think it's a very, very good 8 from me, and I think it was a high energy performance from him, which is what I want to see.
Grant Ward, Matt, take that cross out of your mind and give him an objective performance, because I thought Ward was extremely tidy again today, and he has the ball and never loses it in tight situations when he's under pressure. And keeps
I absolutely agree, mate. And I think that was what, as I mentioned earlier, I think that was why he got picked ahead of Mitchell. I think, the coaching team had obviously looked at what Oxford's threat were, and that was obviously come from Barker down the left-hand side. And he did a really, really good job against him. He wasn't necessarily, a man-marking job by any stretch, but he helped turn out massively on that right-hand side. And I thought he was really, really good today. I thought he could have got... Unfortunately, he could have got a penalty. I don't know why it wasn't given. And when I'll get an opportunity, I'm sure, at some point to look back at it. But at first glance, I thought it was a penalty. That one or two crosses aside, I thought he had a great game. So, I'll give him a 9 today, personally. I thought it was really good.
Elliot Embleton, Tim, the man that's stitched together this partnership with Jerry Yates, he's kept things moving and ticking over.
He has, and I think if I've been assessing Elliot on the basis of his first half performance, it would have been a very, very strong 9. I thought he faded a little bit, but I think what he's done, we seem to have created this system that suits him and suits the team, and he's very much been instrumental in that. So it's a very good 8 from me, a very good 8. It's nearly a 9, to be honest. But I just think the last 30 minutes he faded. If he hadn't have faded,
maybe that's match fitness, Tim, because he's not played much football, has he?
But I thought, listen, if he could play the way he did in the first 60 for the 90, it would have been a 9.
Sully Kai, Martin. Thankfully, it's the good Sully Kai's twin that came on in the second half in the previous game.
Yeah, well, he was better in possession. His work rate was excellent today. Had a couple of decent attempts from outside the box. Set piece from the corners.
Delivery, yeah.
I mean, you can't give him any less than a 9, can you? I thought he was really, really good today. And it's
incredible, the transformation, isn't it?
And this is the thing with him. Everybody that watches Sully Kai over the last, what have we had him, 2 years now plus, knows that he's got this in him. And it's just a matter of giving him the right opportunities, giving him the ball more, I think, is more important than anything else. If he can get the ball at his feet as much as possible, I think as a football team, we will get the best out of Sully Kai. There are times where he'll frustrate and all the rest of it. There are times where there's sulk. But I think that if we can get him on this upward trajectory, an upward curve continued, he could really make a big difference to this season.
It's almost like having a new player. It's like having a new signing.
It is. Yeah, absolutely.
And listen, I know it's your choice, Matt, but I would have given him a 9. I nearly almost thought about if I was going to get him, I'd have given him a 10. But I think it was just slightly under Dougal and Garbutt.
Oh yeah.
But wait, listen, I'm going to say something only because we've all been critical of him, haven't we? Mm. If he plays like that, he is one of the best players in the division, and that's what we want him to do. So his goal for the rest of the season has to be to play like that. And if he plays like that, as I said earlier on in the pod, we can go up because he is a game changer, and he was a game changer today. And I'm happy to eat my words about any previous comments made when he plays like that.
Yeah,
well
absolutely.
done, Phil. You knew all along.
Yeah. I mean, will a real Sully Kai please stand up every week, please? Yeah. Thank you very much.
What's the score anyway?
9. Did I give him 9? I give him 9.
It's a 9 plus, really, isn't it? It's a 9 plus.
Yeah. Right, finally, and Tim, you've got.
Listen, I think Jerry's becoming a Blackpool legend, isn't he? And he didn't score today, but it doesn't really matter because I'd love to know what the stats are about how much running he does, how much.
Yeah,
I'm sure this one of the guys can probably Sean or somebody can show us the stats, but he must do a good 10K every game, and I thought he was exceptional today. I thought his link-up play was brilliant. The way his little flicks, they all seem to come off. They all seem to happen. In order to get a 10, he'd have had to score, but he's getting a 9 because he's another player I think was instrumental in what happened today. And well done, Jerry. Get your shirt off tonight, get the beers in, and have a good night.
Absolutely. Shirts off on the couch.
Post lockdown, I'm sure he'll be out in Manchester, pressing all the ladies with his 6-pack. Right, shall we do rate the manager? I think we should. We forgot to do it last game, didn't we?
We did forget, didn't we?
Where's the banner? Manager rating. Right, Matt, I'll let you go first.
Well, crikey. It was just so good today, wasn't it? There's nothing I can't think of one thing where I think actually should have done that, or the substitutions should have been this, or whatever. I mean, it was great, wasn't it? I mean, how can you the
consummate performance, I'd call that today.
Yeah, it was. I mean, I'm trying to really.
You're nicking my words now, aren't you? You're nicking my Timisms.
No, I'm racking my brains.
It feeds off out of the stream out of internet. It works out.
I'm racking my brains to see if I can be ultra critical, and I just can't. So a 2-0 win against a team that lost 3 out of 21. Did you say? Before something ridiculous.
21, yeah.
Well, it's got to be a 10 out of 10, hasn't it? Simple as that. Trust the process.
I can't argue with that, Tim.
It's taken a long time to figure it out, hasn't he? But today a Blackpool team played the way, and I was
ran the show tactically. Look at that comment. That sums it up.
I was very critical even when we won against MK, and I think rightly so. because I know from my conversations with Simon, and I know from my involvement, that we want to play the right way, and we played the right way today. We played football. We didn't play anti-football. We played football, and it's all right saying we won dirty, but we won well today, and that's the way I want to see a Blackpool team play. So it's another 10 from me.
Yeah, John, will you do me a favour?
Yeah.
Jacko put a comment on earlier, which I think we missed. If you scroll up, there you go. And I think that is absolutely.
Do you want to read it out, Matt, for the pod?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, basically, it's put, I hope the club realise we will criticise, but when there's good performances, we as a group of fans will praise from the rooftops. And I think that's what we try and do on the podcast as much as possible. We try and be fair. We're not overly hitting somebody on the head if it goes all wrong and all the rest of it. But we can criticise. But when it goes right, as it has done today, as it did do on 45 minutes on Tuesday night in the second half against Burton, yeah, we'll sing it from the rooftops. And this is what makes football the great game that it is, that we love and follow. And hopefully, Tuesday night, come 9 o'clock or whatever it is, we'll be singing again from the rooftops and praising the squad and the team, the coaching staff, and everybody else involved. So
the thing is, if we don't say as it is, it loses its value, doesn't it? This is why I would have given 2 10s today. Obviously, I agreed with you on Dougal, and I've not given a 10 all season. And the reason I'm giving a 10 all season is I've not seen a performance that deserved it. Today, I've seen performances that deserve it. Yep. And Kai was almost there. Kai was almost there to make it 3 10s, which is fantastic. You want to be doing that, but you give that when it doesn't deserve it, and it doesn't mean anything. So I'm happy to stand here today and go like, that was a quality performance.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, and what a difference it makes to your mood and your general well-being. When all the shit that's going on in lockdown and we're all stuck in the houses, but it really lifts the mood, doesn't it? That kind of performance.
It does. And I said on Tuesday that in the second half against Burton, it would have been great to be inside the ground where we could have, sort of sucked the ball in the net sort of thing. And today would have been brilliant if you were at the Kassam, where you could just, clap the players off and do whatever you do as an away supporting fan. And, it just makes the yearning to go back into grounds even bigger, doesn't it? And, hopefully the way things are going, who knows? We could be at Wembley. You just
as Phil said there, Matt, this is a performance of a promotion side.
Yeah, and I've organised a week in Kent for that week. So
that's is that in your hot tub?
No, the hot tub didn't get booked. Just for those,
we need to tell the listeners what that was about. Go on, Tim.
Just for those who don't know, I was busy. I go away with some uni lads during the quarterfinals of the Euros or the World Cup every 2 years. Obviously, we didn't go away last year, so I was posting a post to them about various accommodations, which included this one has a hot tub, and somebody sent a post in on the WhatsApp group, and I think it sort of like jumped onto there. That's all I can think. So all of a sudden, the whole he
put it on the wrong group. He put it on the wrong group, listeners. He put it on our Patreon group.
No, I didn't. I was on the right group, but he must have because I pressed the button when the comment came in. It jumped. So we had much mirth.
Anyway, so Tim organises trips with his male friends, and the key selling point for these trips Tim organises is hot tubs. So draw your own conclusions.
Well, we have organised one without one, so make that of what you will.
So if you want to join our Patreon group, everybody, patreon.com/SeasidersPod.
You don't have to come in the hot tub.
The first Patreon benefit is a hot tub session with Tim. And it's good that he's taking one of the team here. So patreon.com/Seasiders.
I could put a few people off that, John.
Yeah, I'll put it on the banner. There you are.
Oh, dear.
Where were we? Man of the match. Man of the match, right? Tim, Matt, I'll come to you first. You need to cool down after being in that hot tub, Matt. So, whoa, this is a really hard one.
Yeah, I'm gonna be. I'll make it straightforward. I think Kenny Dougal was outstanding today. He covered almost every blade of grass. He broke up every attack that they were having almost. He was instrumental in everything we did. He was just awesome today. I thought he was fantastic. And I know sometimes it's a little bit easy to spot him on the pitch because of his hair, but he was everywhere. He was everywhere. And I just thought that he was, very much deserving of a man of the match today.
I'll do mine, Tim, so you can finish it off. But it's Dougal, Kai, or Garbett for me. And I want to give it Garbett because I don't think he's got one this season. And Tim convinced me earlier with his 10. It was the consummate performance, and it's the fact that his defensive capabilities has really risen over the past few games. And today he was getting blocks, and he's down that pitch all the time, up and down that left flank, and his dead ball delivery. So Luke Garbett for me. Tim.
Yeah, I'm troubled a bit by this one because actually I think there's about 4 contenders. I think Ballard had a superb game. I think Yates had a superb game at the top. I think actually 5. Kai. I think the 2 outstanding players were Dougal and Garbett. And I was actually going to go for Dougal, notwithstanding my 10 for Garbett. However, I think you've actually convinced me again, John. You've reminded me why I gave that 10 to Garbett. And I think it is the best left-back performance I've seen since Craney left us. And that's a very, very high compliment because I really, really rated Craney. So I'm going to go with, going to go with Garbett. So fantastic performance from Luke, but also fantastic performance from Kenny Dougal as well. Everything Matt said is 100% right. He was Mr. Blackpool today in the centre of that midfield, and that's what we want. That's what we want from him, and that's what I love about him. And but it's great to have to be undecided rather than making it effectively making it so minor. I think that's
the episode, Tim, when we gave everyone a 5 across the board.
Yeah.
What a difference between then and now.
Yeah, let's keep it going, guys. Critch, keep it going. Let's get us in the playoffs.
Yeah. Okay.
We might yet get to watch a game this season.
Oh, what an end to the season that'd be, eh?
Imagine your first game of the season is going to Wembley. Imagine that. It's wild,
it's going to
happen.
It's going to happen.
It's written in the stars.
Yeah. Right, everybody, thanks ever so much for joining us this evening. We're on an hour 30, but I think all that performance today warranted that. So we're coming back on Tuesday night on the Match Reaction Show. And we've also got the 3rd tier with Tom and Co. on Monday. So please do like and subscribe to the show if you're watching on YouTube. And all that remains to be said is thanks for watching, thanks for downloading. And up the pool! Come on, the pool!
Up the pool!
A small town from the north of England with a great tradition.